And here we go again. Hey, I'm your host, Matt Morgan, and you are listening to Car Musings. And here we go again, folks. Another day in the funness. Before I get started on this one, hey, you know what time of year it is? Yeah. Do you know what time of year it is? Because if I did my calculations right, this is pretty much sometime in December this is coming out. And so if you know what time of day, what time of year, what time of everything it is, you know where our home base is. You can find us at themadmorgan.com. Yes, themadmorgan.com. Not a Mad Morgan, but the Mad Morgan. Let's be definitive here. Anyways, check us out at themadmorgan.com. You know the drill. I don't have to go over it for you. And if I do by now, maybe you haven't been listening long enough. There's about 50 some odd, if not more, episodes for you to binge and listen to previous to this one. Enjoy. Yes, but our home base is themadmorgan.com. And yes, I'm your host, Mad Morgan. And you're listening to another episode of Car Musings. How's everybody doing today? How is your integrity? Are you doing the right thing when no one else is watching? Only you will know. Try it honest and true. You got an inward look. You got to figure out. Are you the person you think you are, or are you actually the person that you really don't want to be? Because some people present one and they actually are the other. But that's up to you to figure out and be honest with yourself or not. But hey, when all else fails, keep your integrity in check. Try to be the best person you can be. Pay it forward as well. You know, life's too short. Do what you can to make a difference. That's all I'm going to say. Anyways, enough about that. So I bet the question on everybody's mind is, hey, Mad Morgan, are you actually going to pick a topic? Because we can't just have all these blahs. And I'm like, yeah, I know. Last day's episode is another blah. But you know what? It is what it is. Sometimes you just have a million and one things on the go, a million and one things on your mind. You just don't know which direction to go into. So I guess the posing of the question, and basically I think what I want to talk about today is, do you give any thought to the possibility of, I don't know, parallel dimensions or something along the lines of living in a simulation? I mean, do you actually feel that you are where you're supposed to be? Do you actually feel that the life you're living is truly the life you're supposed to be living? I mean, in all honesty, ask yourself that. Do you feel that the day that you're living is somebody else's reality or not your reality? Like, do you feel that you should be somewhere else? I know I do. And I was just wondering, I wanted to pose that question to my listeners. Do you feel that you're, living a different life, a different reality that's not yours? Or, I mean, and I think I mentioned this in previous episodes. I mean, do you think you made a left when you should have made a right? You shot down a different reality, a different parallel. I mean, I don't know. It just makes me wonder. I sit back and I wonder sometimes, and I go, did I do this? Did I do that? I mean, I honestly feel that I made some lefts when I should have made rights, and vice versa, because I don't feel that I should be in this reality. It's kind of out of touch with where I started. And when I reflect back of my life and different moments that I've kind of like etched into my head, visions of when I was a kid, visions of different stages of my life. I mean, I still remember them as clear as day. It's almost like they were little goalposts or turning points in life, in my reality, that it makes me wonder, shit, did I sweep instead of swerve? Did I go here instead of there? Like, what did I miss here? Because this is not the destination. Like, if you think about, okay, you come into this reality when you're born, boom, and then you kind of think at a certain stage, okay, this is where I want to end up, but then you don't. The question is, hi, what happened here? What happened here? Because this is where I'm starting, and this is where I want to end up, and I was going kind of like, in a straight line as to that, And for some reason, something went haywire. And it went completely a different direction. And yeah, makes you wonder, eh? Like, what happened? Did something throw a monkey wrench in your reality? I mean, I feel something threw a monkey wrench in my reality. I mean, I was destined for greatness at one point, and then I fell into a mediocre. So it's kind of one of those, you know, started off here, aiming for here, and all of a sudden my greatness left. It's like, what the hell is going on here? Why did the greatness leave? I was destined for that, and all of a sudden now I'm put into the mediocre bottom of the pile type. And you sit there and you wonder, you seriously want those days back, because it's like, wow, okay, I used to be able to call the shots at one point in my life, and now I can't call anything. Unfortunately, I'm kind of stuck in that situation, and I don't know. Do you feel the same way? Like for me personally, I was a friggin' casino hero. I mean, I was a top-notch ace in Canada as far as dealing goes as a croupier, high stakes VIP croupier. I mean, damn, I used to have the pit manager call my reporting pit and ask, "Hey, what do you want to do today?" I mean, damn. I mean, I felt like a sports superstar, right? And I had the golden ticket, and I basically can call the shots. What do I want to do? Where do I want to be? Everything else. And it was great. It was a great feeling. It was just like, wow. And at the time, I didn't know what to make of it. But, as life unfolded, I changed careers. I left that industry. It's a long story. We'll get into it some other time. But, I got into a whole different industry, and it was just an uphill battle, uphill. Like, it wasn't a matter of skill. It was a matter of pay the machine, so to speak. I mean, I got into the technology field, and it was like pay the machine. Okay, so the businesses are in cahoots with the educational institutes that teach the courses. So here's what the game plan is. This is my feeling. What's happening in the background is the IT companies collaborate with the actual schools, and they basically force that they have to keep the employees have to keep learning, have to keep getting certs, have to keep getting these credentials in order to qualify for other positions. And there's a cut that comes through for the IT companies. I'm almost positive. It's not so much a matter of skill. It's a matter of, hey, who spent the most money in education, in order to get to this point. I mean, that's what the IT field feels like. Is just like, let's change the rules, let's change the requirements, let's change all this stuff like that, and we're going to make the schools richer, and we're going to make, of course, the IT get their cut. And it's just a vicious circle. But you see, when I worked in the casino industry, it had nothing to do with that. It's either you had it or you didn't, and that was the great thing. And that's kind of where it's like, when you go from one level of a point in your life, which I'm pretty sure a lot of you have that are listening, you went through a moment of greatness in your life. And if you haven't, then it's yet to come. But, you go from a moment of greatness in your life, and then for some reason, you make some decisions that you feel are best, and for some reason, you no longer have that whole ecosystem, that whole reality. It's just different. Now, is it because your career changed? I don't know. I don't know if it's because it's a simple matter of career change, or it is a matter of, your mindset changed, or something changed, right? And now you go from like superstardom to, yeah, you're Joe Schmo, you're like whatever. And it's frustrating, because then you still have bouts of greatness, but the thing is that for some reason, it doesn't matter how much you try to persevere, it's either not recognized, or it's jealousy, and you get, smushed, or whatever the case may be. And our greatness shouldn't just be in our youth. Our greatness should be all the way across. People should not forget. And as I mentioned in previous episodes, it's really great when you've helped people and they remember you. But even the remember and the appreciation, it has its rewards, but is it a reward enough to help you see it through your rough times? Like, I've been a superstar in fields that I've been in, and I'm happy about that. That's great, but unfortunately, riding the wave is very short lived, very short term. And so the thing is that, that was kind of a concern. Um, I really didn't know in the long run. I might have to put you on pause for 1 second, folks. Seems we have a little bit of an instant here. So I don't know what I'm supposed to do, but so yeah, it just makes you wonder, right? It just makes you wonder. Should you have swerved instead of sweeved and everything else? So, I mean, I'm kind of at that point where it's just like, okay, when's my next greatness come along? When's my next greatness come along? I just don't know when my next greatness is going to come along. And I'm hoping it's soon because I would like to get back in the saddle again. I would like to get back into, you know, being able to call my own shots because I have skills and a lot of people have skills in life that frankly should not be ignored. Like, it should not be forgotten. You could teach the next generations these things, you know. Anyways, get back on track here though. But do you ever feel that for some reason you took a right instead of a left, and it's like a matrix reality? I don't know. I think I touched bases on a few things, or touched base on a few things, and that in my creating my reality as I go along. In my and my thoughts actually creating the reality in which I'm in. So it kind of gives hand in hand to whether or not this is like a matrix reality for myself. I don't know about yourself, but if you ever like sit back and I guess here's the task: sit back and think to yourself of things that you thought about over the short period of time recently. Okay, so think about that kind of stuff, and then think to yourself, okay, now is stuff that I've thought about in passing and daydreaming or night dreaming or whatever the case may be, do I find that stuff has become a reality? No. This is like a serious homework assignment. Like, did this stuff become reality? When I thought about it, did shortly after. Like, really take a look. Because, I mean, you might just find that stuff that you've thought about in some, not focused on way actually became reality. It's true. It's a possibility. It wasn't that you just lived it and then thought about it. No. But actually truly think about this one. Is there possibly that you thought of something obscurely within a, recent time period and all of a sudden you kind of lived it out? And if that's the case, then really be careful about what you think about, because you might just be generating your own reality. Like, I've thought of a lot of things. I'm okay, that's no way that's going to happen. That's going to happen. Some things are just too shocking in the head. Because I had a doctor friend of mine say to me once that the brain is curious, right? So it'll actually generate a whole bunch of different scenarios in different situations. And the thing is that it's just experimenting with different thought patterns. And some of them, of course, are disturbing because they go against our moral code. But the brain is always having a curiosity and imagination. It's the will control of actually being able to differentiate from right and wrong and consequence and all that other stuff, to take control of your brain's thoughts and imagination, and preventing it from engaging in such stuff. Some people don't have that control, and they're usually psychopaths. But most of us have the control to realize that, okay, the brain's getting creative. Okay, that's very fucked up. We're not going to do that because that's against our moral code. Next, rinse, repeat. Let's not do that. Let's move forward with the correct thing, right? So, that's interesting the way the mind works when it comes to a lot of that stuff. But my homework assignment for you is basically just think about it. Is there a thought that you have thought about? And then for some reason it kind of came into play in your reality, whether it be somebody, an individual, or your station in life, or something along those lines. Because I'll tell you personally, other than, of course, the brain going haywire and having really weird ideas, I've thought about stuff, and for some reason, it kind of snuck into the reality. So, it kind of, that curious mind of mine, it's like, is this the Matrix, and am I actually making this shit up? Am I the creator of my own reality? Because if I was the creator of my own reality, full force, like not just little nudges, I would not be in the situation I'm in now. I would have I would have financial, supply. I would be basically set. I would not have to worry about finances. I would not have to worry about bills. I would not have to worry about all this stuff. I would basically have everything I needed and then some. So, that's the reality right there. So I wouldn't have the reality I have now where I'm basically borrowing to live. That just wouldn't be something that would be feasible. That would be stupid, in my opinion. You know, if you're going to create your own reality, do you make yourself broke? No, no, no. Generally, you give yourself enough resources to play out the reality and play out the daydream. This whole thinking about the reality of which I want, where I'm broke and I'm basically counting my pennies. Yeah, that just doesn't seem to make sense to me. So I think you can nudge reality. I think you can kind of influence your reality to a degree. But the strongest energies are usually the ones of the emotions that you don't want to feel, and that's the problem. Like, happiness is not necessarily a very domineering type influence on universal energies. Anger, sadness, that kind of stuff for some reason has a bigger impact. It's unfortunate. So unless you can turn a negative into a positive, it's those energies that you'd have to manipulate, the strongest ones. As much as happy should be a happy thing and should be something that's a positive, unfortunately, it's not always the case. So, yeah, you know. But if you focus and concentrate and everything else hard enough, you could probably swing making more positive changes in your life if you can just learn to focus and harness, those feelings and everything else, right? So, something to think about. Something to think about. You just have to stay the course and try to take control. I mean, this is the one situation where, I've always said actions speak louder than words, is that in this particular case, words speak louder than actions. Like, in the sense of the unspoken word of just the thought process. So thought process speaks louder than actions. And so, yeah, it's just the focus, thought patterns. Anyways, think about it. Think about stuff you've thought about. Think whether or not it's fit into your life recently. And then what you need to do on that particular case is try to remember the state you were in when you had those thoughts. All right? Were you happy? Were you sad? Were you frustrated? Try to remember what state you were in when you had those thoughts, and then that might just be the key that unlocks the influence in which you have when it comes to the relation of the energies around you, and of course, the influence on your life. So that's basically the homework assignment right there. So figure that part out, and you might just be laughing, right? Figure that part out, you might just be laughing. So, anyways, I don't know. It just got me thinking, because it's like, I have a lot of thoughts, and a lot of them I have to shelve, or I have to dismiss, or I have to put away. But it's, it's at the extent that that's great and all, but I would like a little more control as to what influence does actually get put to the surface and make a bigger difference in my reality, So maybe you will want to know the same thing in your reality and how you can influence, other than your actions and other than your 9 to 5 and the obvious stuff in the physical, boring reality. Think about it on the spiritual, on the emotional, on the intellectual, on the brain level of things. You might just be able to have a little more say into what happens for you on that level as well. So, anyways, I hope that helps you. Something to think about. It just got me thinking. So, is it mind over matter, brain over matter? I don't know. Maybe it's a different way of putting mind over matter. Yeah, that's probably the title of today's show. Anyways, I'm gonna wrap this up. Uh, hey, you know what? Love you for being here. I'm your host, Matt Morgan. This has been another episode of Car Musings. It is the holiday season, if I'm correct, based on this time of day. So if you feel like giving, give a share, give a like, give a happy thought, give a comment. And you know what? I shouldn't have to tell you, but if you have some spare change in your pocket, why don't you give that as well? Because that can be very beneficial to a lot of people this time of year. You know, have a heart, be good, be helpful, and make a change in the world. Because it's a tough go for everybody at this point. Anyways, I'm out. Keep your integrity in check, and I will see you next episode. Bye for now.